We say that everything we own is a gift from God. It's uh, not ours, it belongs to Him, and we're just stewards for Him. We're just taking care of it. And but many times we act as if we own it. We act as if it's ours, and it keeps us from being generous. So we don't actually live out what we say we believe. A number of years ago, Edith and I were traveling and we were coming back from a trip somewhere. We flew into Winnipeg to the airport there, and then we got taxi over to the bus depot, and then we were waiting for the bus to get back to Dryden, where we lived. So we were in the bus depot for a number of hours. I forget how many hours there were between our flight and when the bus left, but it was quite a long time. There was a whole circle of people sitting there waiting for the bus in the bus depot. After a few hours, this intoxicated man came in the door and he started asking people for $2. And he said, um, he had a story. I forget the details, but it was, he had a wife and I forget how many children, and he lived across the city and he needed $2 to get bus fare to go back to his family and get home. And if somebody would just give him $2, he'd be able to go home. And so he asked one person, and they said no. Went to the next person, told the same story all over. They said no. And he asked 4 or 5 people and went through the same story over and over again. Everyone was saying no. Then he stood up and he looked around the circle and he saw Edith and I down at the other end of the circle. So he said, okay, nobody's giving me any money. I'm going to go ask the pastor and his wife for money. Oh no, what am I going to do? Like, everybody's interested because everybody was watching now. Everybody wanted to see what what I would do. So he came and he told me his whole story. Fortunately, it was a long story, so I had time to think. When he was done, I told him, you know what? I have $2. Uh, but the $2 that I have, they're not mine. They're God's $2. Now, I'm willing to give you God's $2. God gave them to me, and I've had them for a bit here. But you know, if you want God's $2, I'll give them to you. You can have them. But there's one thing you need to know: these are God's $2. So when you take these $2, the responsibility for how you use them. I don't know if your story is true or not, but you know if it's true or not. And so you may have God's $2 if you want. Here they are. If But realize that when you take these $2, you're taking responsibility to God for his $2. Oh, he was so happy. Thank you, thank you. And he took the $2 and left. And when he walked out the door, the person across from me, the man across from me in the circle, said, "Well, you're a bigger fool than I ever thought." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "You just bought that guy his next drink. He's on the way down to the bar now, and he's going to buy a beer with that $2. He's not getting the bus." I said, "You know what? You're probably right. That's probably what he's doing. But you didn't listen to what I told him, uh, because those $2 were God's $2. So how he uses them is between him and God. Um, I gave them to him. God gave them to me. I gave them to him. Now he's responsible for how he uses them. So it doesn't really matter to me how he uses them. And when I get to my deathbed, I'm not going to be saying, "Oh, I just wish I wouldn't have given that man $2. I just wish I had that $2 back." So in the whole scheme of my life, that $2 doesn't really matter that much. A few hours later, the same man came in the door of the bus depot where he had come in before, and he looked around the circle. And when he saw that we were still there, his head went down and he turned around and he walked back out. So I'm sure that I bought him another beer, or that God bought him another beer with God's $2. But I would rather be taken advantage of than be so paranoid that maybe I'll give somebody something that they won't use wisely. And our culture, we need to push ourselves a little bit toward generosity and being willing to give. And remember, the things that we have, they've all been a gift to us. They've been given to us, and we can use them to help others.